Welcome to the Tamiko Show. You know what? This brother Rocka Taylor, aka Iris Cyrus Science. How can I said
That's right.
I love your name. I've
Thank you.
always been intrigued with that name. Let me click on. What
What
up?
up? What up?
Hey, do you remember meeting me ever?
I remember your face, but I need to know. I need to know what's going on because it's definitely been a long time for
It
sure.
has. It has. What up, everybody? All rights reserved, just in case I play some of this awesome music. Okay, so I was just the girl about town. I was just a super social chick, and um, I'm an artist, so I would just see other artists around. You know what I mean? And you guys were phenomenal. I really liked you guys. Your shout out evidence,
Shout out
um,
to Ev.
DJ Babu.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
I had a little local show at the time in like 2000, 2001, 2, 3,
Okay.
and I think it was you, but it was maybe somebody from your label. They gave me tapes of your a tape of your video. You guys
Oh
allowed me
wow.
to play your music video on my show. You guys were
Oh
with
nice.
Stones Throw, I think, at the time. You
What's
remember
that weird? What? I'm sorry.
weren't you on Stones Throw?
No. ABB.
Okay,
ABB Records.
okay,
Yeah, from the Bay Area.
okay.
But we were obviously, being from LA and being down with the Junkies and all those guys. We were definitely around Stones Throw a lot for sure.
Oh my God, the Beat Junkies, absolutely. You know what? I've probably seen you at a party in Long Beach or something.
Yeah, I would be out in Long Beach. That's like way back in the days when Ty was rolling Brotherhood Creed, and it was like a whole thing happening in Long Beach for sure. Yeah,
That's it. Okay, because in '92, that's when you guys started getting around more, right?
yeah.
'92.
That's when we first. That's about the time Ev and I linked up and started really doing things. We were both doing things independently, like as solo artists before, but I think '92 was about the time we hooked up to do our first record.
And back then, I went to Cal State Long Beach. Shout out Cal State Long Beach. And
Right.
I used to hang out with Babu, not often, but I was in
Nice.
circles in Long Beach. I was hanging out with they ended up being the Long Beach Dub All Stars.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
Shout
sure. Shout out to Phil Marshall and all them for sure.
Marshall. So okay, Marshall and I used to work at Wells Fargo. Shout out Wells Fargo. When we
Nice.
were in college, we went to Cal State Long Beach, and then he ended up. I used to go hang out with his band.
Nice.
Marshall used to make beats for my MC and my poetry, rappy stuff.
Very cool.
Shout out Marshall. We're still
Yeah.
cool on Facebook. We're still
Yeah.
Facebook.
Shout out to Marshall for sure. He's a good dude. For sure. I haven't seen him in a minute. Hopefully, I'll bump into him soon.
You definitely will. Hopefully he'll watch this show because we really are still like all the Long Beach people. We're all still cool. Shout out Scotty B.
Mm,
Uh,
nice.
Ugly Duckling. I used to hang with those
Yeah.
cats.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Good dudes.
that's probably where you saw me in one of those environments.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean the LA scene is always expanding, but it wasn't always as big as it is right now. And there was, it wasn't like social media back then. So if you were in the circles and you were in the circles, pretty much everybody's a degree of separation away at most, and from a certain era.
Exactly, exactly. So I got to see you guys rock the mic in Long Beach for sure.
Nice, real
Um,
cool.
I had a list of things to ask and talk about, but I just came from Otherwise's crib. Shout out Otherwise.
What up? Otherwise, that dude's a monster, man. On the mic, he was a monster.
I had such a ball tonight. I just had such a good time. Uh,
Yeah.
I recorded a couple of songs tonight
Oh, nice,
for
nice.
this project, so that's why I was kind of rushy. And thank you for being flexible. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate the invitation.
So what's going on with your music? I know you kind of mentioned a little something in the text, but
Yeah, we have there's some things that are kind of marinating right now, just getting ready to throw on the grill. Like, it's not ready for prime time yet, but just because I like to talk about something when it's in motion, I don't want any energy to block the flow. So it's gonna be I'm gonna be letting it be known pretty soon. But the pen stays moving. I keep the sword sharp. I'm still in the circles of people. I've been doing a lot of other things, so I haven't really been focused on the music as much. I spent so much time doing it that I wanted to take a break from it before it took a break from me. So, like, I just basically just found, explore some of my other passions, some of the other things I've been into, different business opportunities. And now that some of those things are stabilized and moving the way I want them to move, the thing that always tapped me on the shoulder since I was a little kid is music, and it's tapping me on the shoulder again. So, we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
I'm
Love to
really
do it again.
excited to hear that, man, because like I said, not to be aging us and everything, but we have been around since the prime time, amazing, wonderful hip hop times. You know what I mean? And now we're older and we have relationships and families and real life stuff. And I'm happy to hear, that you're still doing your music because your voice is really none other, and B, so what that we're a little older. We're I would say you've mastered your craft. I would say I've mastered my craft. I would say that now it's like you're going into showing your mastery in other elements of your life. And you're going to demonstrate that in your new music. I can't wait to hear. Oh my
No, I appreciate that. Hip hop is such a young culture, and rap music being such a young art form, all things considered. Um, we're like one of the early generations that are representing that growth and that maturity. So, I mean, the goal is to get older. The goal is to live a long, happy life, and to do that, you're gonna get older every day. I want to keep getting older every day. Like I don't ever want it to stop. It's gonna, like that's not how life works. But I have no problem uh, with who I am, and I'm proud of the fact that through the craziness out there, I navigated a lot of that, and I'm able to still be here today. So I think it's just more about, I don't think you really get old in the game until you stop growing and you close your mind to what's happening right now. Like you never have to chase a trend, but you do have to be mindful of the fact that the environment is always changing. If you think about some of the things that were already old school when we came up, when I was coming up, there was already an old school, and there was other groups that were coming out challenging that. Shout out to Treacherous 3 and Cold Crush and Fantastic and all those, Funky 4 plus one more and all those groups that were really putting it down early. You had, Soul Sonic Force and people like that, and Grandmaster Flash, and very Master Don Committee, all kind of people were coming out at a certain time, and then you had Run DMC come out and change the whole game and put to a certain extent take it from this more dynamic, bold, crazy outfits and expression to a more street oriented style and flavor. And it's going to continue to grow, and I think that once you take that personally and you don't respect it and you don't understand that without that ability, I wouldn't be here. Like if it would have never progressed past a point to develop a platform that would have allowed me to create Dilated Peoples and do any of that. So yeah, no, I have no problem with aging. I think that the important thing is to show that when you speak of mastery, like take it back to martial arts, like if you keep your sword sharp every day, if you training every day, then as you get older, for a long time, you're just going to keep getting better, and you understand nuance, excuse me, and other things that other people haven't developed yet. So it's not about, you can't out young people. You know what I'm saying? You're going to lose that battle, like, and or it's going to feel ridiculous. You just have to tell your story and just understand that this is the environment that it's going out to. So make sure it hits the target when you're sending it out.
Well said. Well said. You know, I respect that. I hope that the listeners, the powers that be, whatever, catch on to that, because we're not stopping. Those of us who are rapping, we're not stopping just because we've turned
Yeah.
a certain age. So
I
they
love
need.
jazz, and I saw Pharoah Sanders perform. Rest in peace. I saw Pharoah Sanders perform when he was probably close to 80 years old, and we were in Hollywood. He had the Catalina's rocking. So, you know,
Exactly.
I see rock and roll artists doing it all the time. What's
I,
that?
I literally worked with Mick Jagger in the mid early 2000s, and I swear to you, he was in his 60s then,
Yeah,
and he wasn't thinking about stopping. We were doing a music video.
about to say, man, that dude is not. He's 80 years old, some
Yes.
70 some years old, and just killing and still running across the stage and doing it. So, I mean, I think I think that's up to generations as they get older to continue to stay connected to their fan base, to continue to make sure the live show is straight, to continue to develop those lines of communication, so you're not caught up in in the trap of trying to chase being pop culture relevant. Like, pop culture is always going to be looking for the new thing. It's going to always be looking for the young thing. Every once in a while, it celebrates a veteran, but for the most part, that's not pop culture's thing. That's not what it does. So it's about nurturing the relationships we have with our fan bases and making sure that we're doing top quality music. We also can't rest on our laurels and say, I did this in, 99. So, you have to still love my music right now. Like, there's nobody has to do any of that. So yeah, I never worried about that. But at the same time, I was never really caught up in it. I come from a line of respect of the pioneers of the culture, of the art form, that came out of the culture, and I still do. So I love hip hop culture, and so to me, that's something that I've been able to tour with Jazzy J and Grand Wizard Theodore and Meet Cool Herc and like all types of things that being from Rocksteady and all these other things that connected me directly to like the roots of that, and being that deep rooted. I'm not really some people feel like maybe they're not comfortable with themselves or they don't feel confident in themselves because their roots aren't deep enough. So they feel like they got to control the narrative. Like I'm already clear on where the culture comes from, and I'm already connected to the roots of this culture. So the branches are going to grow how the branches grow. I'm more concerned about the roots.
Well said. Now, are you on the lecture type of? Are you open to lecturing? You really you have a nice portfolio and you're very well spoken. So
Thank you. I've done some lecturing. I'm not like on a lecture circuit. Like there's certain things that I'll go and speak on. And from that side of things, I've done a lot of hosting, professionally done like a lot of hosting of different events. But as far as straight lecturing, not so much. I've done a few things. Right now in business, most of what I do right now is creative strategy. So I'm doing like a lot of speaking, but that's more to clients or that's more to you
like
know,
consultation.
yeah, or teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great. I'm really, I don't even know where to start now. You brought up a good point. I've had to get a reality check from my husband. Shout out Volume 10. Because,
Dino.
and Abstract Rude, actually, Rude Self, but he was right in a way. So I had that in my head for a minute about the laurels of the 90s. Like I
Yeah.
had I'm not classic album, but I started, rearing children and going to grad school and, getting into that world. And I still was like, but I'm dope. But
Right.
but I hadn't been running those streets though for like a minute, because I got into the mom thing, which I should have done, you know what I mean? That's the natural
Absolutely.
progression of woman and mom, to keep it real. But I did feel some type of way, Rocco, when I came back and I wasn't just, embraced with open arms. There's this whole new slew of youngsters and folks that came out or
Right.
around while I was gone from 2010 to 2016. And I've just now even, well, thankfully, I've brought out a little bit here and there with, on Volume 10's most recent albums. Thank you.
Nice.
Just like my own project, I literally just like last week just brought out 4 songs from, dare I say, an earlier era of the 2000s. But nobody's heard it but me and the kids. So there we go.
Right, right, right.
Did a track with Diabolic. Well, I'm sorry, he's what's his name? DiBiase now.
Huh.
But when he was Diabolic, he allowed
Absolutely.
to use, and so I brought that out. What's that one called? Power. I call it 5 Power.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
that's not. That's with Satch. Satch is 5 Power. Oh yeah, that's another one. Shout
Shout
out
to
Satch.
Satch. Yeah, the knots. Yeah, for sure.
We've done a few songs throughout the years, but he slipped me up in the Project Blow studio and we did the song. That's 5 Power.
Oh, nice.
But the one that's DiBiase is Flow. I call it Flow. Okay.
Flow. Okay.
I just brought that stuff out. I don't care I don't care. Nobody's heard.
Yeah, you should. I mean, when you make the record, you make it to be timeless anyway. So if it did its job, then you should be able to break it out and it should still rock. So if you still feel it, then you did your job.
But I am working on new stuff, hence why I was over at Otherwise. So
Nice, nice.
oh my God, I've heard his new stuff.
He's serious. He's a monster. He's serious.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a coloring book cracking. He's got a bunch of things he's doing. I'm really proud of him. He's got like 2 albums. He's working on 2 albums at the same time.
Yeah, that's a like a Black Forest fam, like Associates, like that whole era of things and that whole crew of things. And shout out to ICD too. I haven't seen him in a minute, but
Oh,
the whole crew. That's but to touch on what you just mentioned, like you can't rest on your laurels. Like you can't say I did this at one point, so you have to treat me the way that I was treated back then or whatever. But at the same time, by the same token, no one could take away from you what you actually did at that time, like the work that you put in, the fact that you were there. That's all fact. Like they can feel about it how they want to feel about it, but it that they're feeling some kind of way about is truth and fact. So it's just how things go. Like it's the you can definitely stand where you stand. You just can't rest on anything because the environment is constantly moving, and there's always, especially right now with access being what it is. At that time, also, not everybody could work on a record. You had to have a certain level of skill, and you had to be connected in the community to a certain level to even get the opportunity to record and to do that. Nowadays, somebody could pick up their phone, write the lyrics, make the beat, record the song, mix it, master it, do the artwork, post it, put it out, do a video, put that out, and do everything from their phone, and it's no problem. And they don't even have to be propped pushed forward by the community itself. They can just put themselves out, and if it connects with some people, it connects with some people. There's billions of people in the world, so if you put it out and you're consistent, it's going to probably connect with somebody. So it's just a different game right now, and it's no point really getting frustrated by it. It's a way that's the energy and the time could be spent just being in the creative side, because you're never going to convince somebody that doesn't respect you for what you did to respect you for what you did. They can respect you for what you do, but if they've already in their mind said, well, that was then, this is now, then to a certain extent they're right. Like I had to realize it. Like Dilated, we've done amazing things, but that doesn't mean that you know uh, a 17-year-old kid right now is you know uh waiting for our next record to drop, or whatever the case is. Like when they hear it from their uncle or their big brother or their pops or mom or somebody, then maybe they'll be like, wow, that's crazy, I like that. But it's going to be more like how when as a kid I would listen, there was rock music that was popping, but then there was also classic rock, and that had a certain vibe and a certain depth to it. That's going to be how it is, if we're lucky. Like
you're right, man.
yeah.
Listen, worst come to worst,
Mm-hmm.
let's knock it off. That's top 10 to me, and let's quit playing. I always complain on my podcast. Excuse me, here I complain about how the West Coast artists don't get their props, as they should. Like I feel they should. Yes, they get some love, but not really. I mean, worst come to worst is just knock it off. Back it,
Yeah,
and then This Way with Kanye.
yeah,
Come on, like.
yeah.
And you guys weren't that traditional, so-called stereotypical or traditional LA sound either.
Right, right.
You guys stand out a lot for that.
Yeah, it was I mean, it was weird because we stood out a lot more in LA for that sound than we did in New York, because a lot of our sound was based on the stuff that we grew up listening to, and a lot of that was from the East Coast, whether it was Organized Confusion or Black Moon, Boogie Down Productions, of course, Public Enemy. There was so much that we were listening to, even on the other, I guess, side of the spectrum, like Beastie Boys. Like there was so much stuff that we were listening to, most of it being from the East Coast, and then the stuff from the West Coast. Everything's maybe because I'm from here, like I understood where it fit more. So I was like, okay, there's this gangster sound, and then there's like the Good Life sound, which later kind of became the Project Blowed sound, or these different things that were happening. And I was able to kind of move around and really appreciate each one because I understood the city, so I understood the context for what it was. But what we grew up listening to was, at least for me, what I grew up listening to more was Kool G Rap or whatever. Like I just listened to different things. So the early boom bap stuff was stuff that was really ultra magnetic. Like there was so much that was fire. And so, but at the same time, when you get to look at what was going on in LA outside of the gangster style stuff, especially what was going on at the Good Life at that time,
Mm.
it was incredible. Like
Oh my
they,
God.
these, from the whole heavyweights crew, shout out to, Freestyle Fellowship, of course, Volume 10. One of the first people that I met, that even before I knew about that scene, I met through the graffiti circles, was Iodine Teaspoon.
Oh my
So
God. Yes.
yeah, so I mean, it was just it was a different time, and everybody was a killer. Like, everybody from the life was like, there was a problem. You see him coming, it was like, ah, man, these dudes about to shut the party down. It's about to you're not gonna beat one of these dudes. It wasn't happening. It was, Fish and all those two, even OMD, and like, I mean, it was just,
Don't
Cram
even forget
Nevis.
Funky Trend. And the women also, like Ava and
Oh,
Giant.
Figures of Speech, of course.
I looked up to them. I looked up to Medusa. I looked at
Sure.
those were who I followed. Also Fela Nazarene. Like, any woman that stepped on the mic up there, like, knock it off. Like, they were brilliant. And I don't hear enough
Sure.
about that either.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I love what's listening back, thinking back to listening to everyone that you just mentioned. Like, it was just the power. Like, and then you would see women on stage chopping, killing it, and then go into the parking lot, and then it would even go to another level, because then you couldn't get put off the mic because you say what you want to say in the parking lot. So it was just like, I was just hearing just levels of things that were so inspirational.
Yeah,
And those are spices that ended up in our recipes, to be perfectly honest. We
that
didn't
song.
have that sound, but every once in a while, like, you would hear like a little rhythm, something would change, and it was because we were exposed to those lines, those jazz lines, that syncopation, the percussive, listen to Mike on the, volume just being like a horn second, like anyway, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Oh, he'll break
Yeah.
it down to you, man.
Uh,
I
that was
interviewed him.
crazy.
I interviewed Volume Dino, my
Yeah.
husband,
Yeah.
for his album, and he explained his sound. He explained the differences and the da, 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 and the
Yeah.
one. He broke that stuff down by trombone and trumpet. So, did you go to the Good Life? Did you ever go
I,
to
I
the?
went up there a couple of times. I only performed at the Good Life once. It was actually me, um, Tumex and Mark 7, Cram Nevis Mark 7, not Mark 7 from Jurassic 5, but Cram Nevis Mark 7, LTS crew.
Shout out.
And I think we created, like, for that night, we created a group called the Sellouts or something. It was just something ridiculous. And I remember getting up there and rocking one time. But that was an intimidating place to be. Like, it was an intimidating situation, like, because there was nobody really played around over there. Like, it wasn't like a cute thing, like, oh, come up here and show me your rap. It was like, it
Mm,
was a show and prove type situation. So I remember we went on, it was good. Like, I remember our set was good, everything was cool, it was no problems, we had a good time. But not our set, but we all did like just a verse each or something. But I just remember, like, the energy in the room was like, this is kind of crazy. Like, everybody had a certain look in their eye, like, like, I would hear stories about other rappers coming from out of town getting, kind of humbled in that
ate
space.
up. He got ate up.
Yeah, I heard some things. Shout out to Fat Joe, though, good dude. But I heard there were some issues in LA. I'll just put it that way for him. Yeah, I mean, it was a tough place. I mean, it was no games being played up there. So, and I think that really showed in the level of everybody's skill set. I mean, there are different people that made that had different levels of commercial success and record deals and different things like that. In fact, I remember when Volume got signed to Immortal at the time. Like, I remember that whole time. I think he had like the red Honda or something. I think he had like a
Dang.
yeah. I remember all that. I was around, like, in that same circle of things that were happening. So, but yeah, cats were serious, and I think that was the balance that LA needed. It was gonna have to be something like, if you have like gangster talk over funk with heavy bass coming from one side of the spectrum, then you have to do something else. You can't compete with that just trying to do that too. You can't just say, okay, I'm not going to talk gangster style, but I'm going to do. These cats over here were some of them were even still talking gangster stuff, but it was,
Yeah,
but it
right.
was done in a way that was still like at a
Jazzy.
lyrical, at a level that was just. So yeah, I get hyped when I talk about the
Me
Good
too.
Life and Project Blow, because I have so much respect for the MCs that came out of there, the kings and the queens that really represented for the city at a time when we needed to show balance and really needed to show skill. like they influence people, and they're people that they influence that won't even admit that they influenced them. Made a lot of money. So I'm
Yeah.
not hearing their names, but a lot of people made a lot of money coming through there and soaking up games. So
Oh yeah. Hey, Skilo is who brought me up there. We were
Skilo, yeah,
so close. We called each other cousins. We that's my cousin. We cousins.
nice.
So you're right. When we felt very competitive in that way. So every week, like we would get together like daily for the next Thursday. Like we would write a song trying to get it ready for the next Thursday. And
Mm,
out of those came I Wish and
mm.
came the other hamburger. He has this song. But out of that training, out of that, we got to get this tight. We got to do this. We got to do a new song by next Thursday.
Right.
That really taught me some things about regimen. And like I was more so into the poetry, and then I got into Jeru and Nas, real tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard Freestyle Fellowship, and I fell in love with Mom. Wait, Mary. Wait, was it Mary?
Yeah. Mama, mama, mama,
My
mama.
mind
Yeah.
to make my
Yeah.
moon like oh
Yeah.
my god.
Right.
And Peace.
Shout out to Peace. Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to Peace. And then when I actually tapped into AC Alone's flow, I felt that that was like a kindred spirit because that's the style of basically the style of poetry I was on already. So
Right. Right.
somebody who was already kind of on the same vibe was like, oh my God, you know. And then adding on, yeah, everybody, just everybody. Ahmad,
Yeah. Yeah. Fourth Avenue Joneses and that whole. I mean, it was a lot of people. And shout out to Ace too. Ace is. I've known Ace for a long time. Like we done toured together and all kind of things. Shout out to the whole crew.
everybody,
But
Micah, Peace,
Micah,
Jupiter.
Jupe, Jupe, yeah,
I
for
didn't
sure.
put Jupiter at that.
Kilo, shout out to Kilo, like everybody, yeah, yeah.
Man, can I add this? I want to add this. Shout out JMD, who is past due on coming on my show. Okay. He's like a
JMD,
brother I never had. We talk like all the time, but to come on the show, there's been a few like deaths in the family. There's been like some serious situations popping, but it'll happen. But I mention him because he doesn't get enough props for being the one that really kind of helped develop Freestyle Fellowship and the under, the oh my God, the Underground
Underground Railroad.
Railroad, because I met him at Fifth Street Dicks.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Separately. So and he was gracious enough, his band too, to allow me to practice, get on the mic. He didn't know me from Adam. But then we became bonded. We're like family at this point. And but what I mentioned him because he's the one that hit me to Eddie Jefferson.
Mm,
And he's the one that hit me to like some Carmen McRae. He's the one that hit
mm,
to a lot of different, yeah, especially the musicians. Like there's too many to mention, Horace Tapscott, etc.
right,
But that foundation is what helped influence my music. Because I initially would write to jazz, just straight up jazz.
right.
I would get up on the mic at the Good Life, just trying to do my poetry rap to jazz. Oh, here's a question. Shout out OG Patrice. What up, everybody in the chat? Greetings, OG Patrice and Nine. What did she say? Okay, question for you. What's your opinion on the hip hop 50th year celebration of Grammys? I personally thought it was kind of whack. They missed so many iconic artists in the game. Yeah.
I actually I caught it. But I caught it after I haven't really I don't watch a lot of award shows and things like that. But somebody was like, "Yo, they put Dilated up in the list," and I didn't know what they were talking about. So they sent me a video of it, and they were showing. I had a bunch of names floating in the background, and we were one of them. I mean, I think it's cool that they did do a nod to hip hop. Um,
Nah.
yeah, I feel like
I know you don't want to
they
get out.
checked the box. I feel like they checked the box. You know what I mean? I feel like they checked the box. Like there was something they had to do because of the impact that it's had on popular culture, on the music business. Um, Obviously, they could have done more, and they could have handled in a different way. Some of the stuff in a different way. But they checked the box.
I hear that. Wait, how come our names aren't at the bottom? Well, that's cool. We know who he is. We know who we are. But though, for those who are just tuning in, because some more people have tapped in, peace, everybody. We have Raka Irie Oh my God.
Irish Science.
Ooh, Irish Science from Dilated Peoples, and I just really respect you guys, and I just wanted to just say what's up. I am a teacher, and I do play a lot of old school. It's not even old school, but to them, it's old school hip hop. Uh, Especially lyrical rap, because I do use lyrics as a means to teach. I got my master's
Nice.
in education on a whole theory, a whole thesis on how to utilize hip hop in the classroom. But that
Right.
was way back in 2009. So I know a lot of people do now utilize hip hop in their curriculum. But I was one of the first, okay? And I
Nice.
started curriculum. So I play Dilated, and Most Deaf,
Nice.
because I really love his metaphors. What is that full moon on the clouds shining like Metropolis? I'm messing it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up. Graffiti. So you mentioned that, and I know you have gone to competitions and you support a lot of, or you used to support. I'm not sure where you are with that now. The homies that do graph. What's
Yeah,
going
of
on?
course. Yeah, I started doing graph in probably 84 when I was first started messing around with it. I was a little like a kid just messing around with it. By the time maybe like 87 or 86, 87, I was already taking it pretty serious. So, what up, True? Peace. Um, so I was running with graffiti artists first. Like that was the first thing that as far as anything associated that we associate with hip hop culture, I was in graffiti first. Met a bunch of people through that also ended up kind of spreading. That's how I met Evidence. Actually, we met at a yard in LA called Motor Yard, and I was finishing a piece of my crew, Create to Devastate C2D crew, and he was up there with Vision from WCA, and he was from AWR crew at the time, I believe. And he was kind of starting a piece, and I just remember we were using like paint buckets and like planks to make like a little thing where we could stand on, and like he and Vision came up, and he had like this one ladder that was like he could bend into any shape. It was like the craziest thing. We're like, yo, it looked like a transformer toy or something to us, but it was ill. But that was how I got into the game, and I still support the art of graffiti artists. I still, so I have a song called Mean Streak that gives a shout out to a bunch of big portion of the LA hip hop scene that was popping at the time that I was first getting into the scene, and kind of during my time really spending a lot of time. And even now, even though I make music, much more so than anything having to do with visual art, um I still get down every once in a while, and I still have a lot of friends that are in that world. So whenever I get a chance to support, to to get people artwork placed, or to plug somebody in with somebody, or to go check out a battle, or an exhibition, like I try to do what I can, to sneak in and check it out for a minute, because I think an incredible art form. And obviously it's a hammer you could build or destroy with it, but what's built with it is beautiful.
Yes, yes. So you're multi. Okay, so did you ever get into the dancing aspect of this?
I mean, I tried. It wasn't it
Yeah,
didn't work.
yeah.
It,
We
it
all
didn't.
kind of dabble.
It didn't, I mean, in my mind, like I was always ready to go, like I would, but it's just by some about me hitting the floor, it just didn't, all the stuff that I thought was supposed to happen, it didn't happen. So yeah, like, yeah, I would get up and do a little pop in, and I had a decent backspin for a second, but as far as really getting busy, even when I got put in Rocksteady crew, I got put in Rocksteady. It had nothing to do with, even though that's a break crew, a b-boy crew. Like it had nothing to do with that. I was put in as an MC, and
Word.
and second as a graffiti artist. There was no even conversation about my b-boy skills. So
That's so
that
funny.
wasn't it. That wasn't it.
Are you evidence working some stuff?
I mean, that's my brother right there, and you know, like I said, there's some things that are percolating. There's some things that are
Yay.
simmering, but we're always in circle. We do we get up to do shows every once in a while, or
Okay.
even
Okay.
his his solo project. He's been doing a lot more solo projects, and on his solo projects, if I'm not on the solo project, he's usually calling me to come in and check it out and listen to it and give him feedback or whatever. Because whether or not I'm a part of any artistic project that he's doing, that's my brother, and that's family. So, and it's vice versa. Anything I need from him. And the same with Babu. Babu and his team, the Beat Junkies, have the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound, which
Yeah,
is a DJ school out in Glendale.
very,
So
very
yeah,
dope. I heard
yeah,
about that.
they're doing
Really
it.
cool.
So whatever we can do to support that, we support that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Just stay tuned. Like I said, I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know when the time is right to reveal what's going on.
Yeah, and you know what? I get into this part too. Babu is such a good spirited person.
Yeah,
Like he's like a good hearted person. That's what I remember. He's always very kind to me. So I remember those things, you know.
he's a really good guy for sure. One of the few people, all things considered, in the business that I could really say for a fact is like a really good person, like that, coming out the music business. There's some cool people out here for sure, and there are some good people, but Babu is a special dude for sure.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Also, so what's going on? Connecting longevity or hanging out with Supernat or visionaries or anybody? Nobody's hanging out. We're old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But have you heard or talked to any of these folks, Aloe Black or you know
Um,
any of those?
Probably out of those, I haven't talked to Longevity in a minute. I'll see Super Nat in a couple weeks. I need to actually call him more. That's my brother right there, and I haven't talked to him in a second. So I need to, now that you mentioned that, I need to get up with Nat.
He's got a
Um,
show coming up. A whole bunch of the Freestyle Fellowship folks and Supernat, they have a big show. Otherwise, it's like a big show. Volume 10, they're all in the Medusa. It's a big show. There's one on the 15th of
yeah,
April.
we're on that bill.
Duh.
Yeah, we're on that
Duh.
bill.
And then on the 29th, there's another event. I think that one's in Phoenix. I think it
Oh,
might be
okay,
the same show, maybe, but different. So a few different people. But
nice.
I can't wait to go. I can't wait to see you guys rock the mic. I can't wait to see everybody rock the mic. They have such a fantastic lineup.
Yeah, at Rhymefest LA with
Mhm.
Souls of Mischief, Farside, of course, as you mentioned, it's gonna be the Project Bloat Cipher, Master Ace, and Marco Polo. Let me see who else. Grouch and Eli, Chino
Yes,
XL. It's a bunch of people that are gonna be there, so for sure.
I'm super excited.
Dead Prez, shout out to Dead Prez. They're gonna be there. Yeah, for sure.
I haven't seen them get on the mic since about 2003.
Yeah, they're serious. They do it.
They're
Yeah,
one of my faves. They're one of my
yeah,
absolute faves.
yeah, they're serious. But I said Visionary. Shout out to Visionaries. You mentioned Visionaries.
Wow.
I haven't talked to them like as a crew in a minute, but I'll chop it up with Red here and there.
Mhm.
Two Mex and I are both from Mid City. We're from the same, basically the same neighborhood. So just the other sides of the same neighborhood. So like, I definitely check in with him to make sure he's doing okay, especially after his health stuff and all that stuff. So I was gonna make sure Alex is cool. But I mean, yeah, I don't really hang out that much. But when I do get a chance to hang out, I love to see the people that
Family. It's like extended family.
yeah, for sure.
And we bonded more, Tumex and I'd always been pretty damn peace with the brother since the good life. And then we had the story, I interviewed him and we were talking about how one time he was on La Brea and like I guess it's called Obama Boulevard now. And he
Yeah,
was like randomly at the bus stop. And I was like, bro, you need a ride? And
right.
he had a major important meeting. So I took him all the way to like Century City.
Oh, nice, nice.
That was divine right there.
Yeah,
But during this Corona crap, we connected, we bonded. He's very close to Volume,
yeah,
and
yeah, for sure.
so we got to talk through. We had lost so many friends, and he was really sick at one point.
Yeah,
Tumex.
yeah, very. Yeah, it
So,
was
yeah,
scary
we
situation.
really bonded through that. Who else? Fat Jack. So I was hanging out with Fat Jack last week and his
Nice.
wife. I love them.
Yeah, for
His
sure.
family too. They came out to Vegas, so I took and he's old school. He was not clicking up into no links or none of that. You better come over or whatever. So I just went over there.
Uh,
It was just like face to face. I love that.
yeah, shout out to
That's
Fat Jack. That's a good dude. Yeah, for sure.
a very great hearted person.
Yeah,
Another really great person. Um, It was awesome hanging out with them. You know, the interview was probably like 30 minutes, but I stayed an extra 5 hours. You know, that was so much fun. We have a growing audience in Germany, so I wanted to say what's up to the
Ah,
folks. What up?
shout out to Deutschland.
Yet I'm.
Shout out to Deutschland. Yeah, we spent a gang of time. We spent a lot of time in Germany, all over Germany for sure. Many times, many festivals, and even there's a guy out there. Shout out to my man Tim Wilkie out in Duisburg.
Shout out.
He would sometimes he would tour manage for us, and if we didn't need that, then he would drive and handle merch. Like he was part of the family. He's still family. He's still crew. So yeah, shout out to everybody out in Germany. They always look out for us when we're out there.
That's fantastic. So that
Yeah,
would explain. Okay, so they're really helping grow my station, my channel. So thank you, folk in Germany. Also, India. We got a lot of folks in
shout out to
India.
India. For sure. I've never been to India. I want to go one day.
Oh my God, I can't
Yeah,
wait.
yeah, that's one
Russia,
place.
we're growing a big audience in Russia, and Egypt. Shout out
Nice,
to folks in Egypt. So I just,
absolutely.
if I'm missing anybody, and Indiana. I mean, random.
India, from India to Indiana. There you go. There you
You
go.
know,
Shout out to India,
all parts of
Russia,
LA, West
Egypt.
Coast, East Coast,
Yeah.
the South, Chicago, everybody. You know what? Did you ever keep in touch with Kanye?
Nah, not really.
And how did that? I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I guess through the production, huh? Through the tracks.
Yeah, well, people need to understand, like when we did that record with Kanye, we did the song This Way with Kanye.
Yeah.
It was a different time. So Kanye's first album hadn't even come out yet.
Oh, he was
And
still backpacking.
yeah, I mean, it was like I remember we were in the studio together and he was like, "Yo, check this out. It's the rough cut of my first video." And it was through the wire, but it was still on his laptop with the number. It was like it wasn't even finished yet. So
Wow.
it was that early. So, we knew him as a producer. We didn't he wasn't like the most popular guy in the world at that time or whatever he became. Like he was just a dope producer. And the record label wanted us to work with some other producers and we liked the stuff that he was doing. So we're like, yeah, let's work with him. We
Oh,
did the record. And originally, who was it? Originally, it was Keisha Cole. Keisha Cole that sang the chorus of
wow.
that record. And then at a certain point, Kanye was like, "Yo, I think I'm gonna I got my guy coming into town to take my guy Legend is coming into town. We're gonna take him to get to some record meetings." He's like, "It's my new artist, Legend. We're gonna take him to some record deal meetings. I think I might have him try to redo the chorus." And we're
Mm.
like, I don't. That's fine. Have your guy Legend do it. We were on a whole different page at that place at that time, and that turned out to be John Legend. John Legend didn't even have a record deal. He was on our record. He had never like we did the video for This Way. I think that might have been like the first or second video he was even. In fact, I remember we were on tour. Oh, so to answer your question, like after we recorded the record,
Mhm.
we still stayed in touch for a while. Evidence ended up producing a song on on College Dropout, if I'm not
Wow.
mistaken. Yeah, like the last song on the album. I forget what it's called, but um, Ev produced it. And also we ended up going on tour with Kanye. So
Mm.
Kanye took us on tour. So for his first album tour for the US on the US side, that was him, us, and then he brought on at a certain point he brought on Young Guns. They brought on Young Guns because it
God.
was still Rockefeller, like that whole thing. So we toured with them for a while. But after that tour, I only saw him one more time after that tour. We were in Portland. We were in Portland,
Mhm.
and he was on his tour called, I think it was called the Flashing Light. I think it was he and Lupe Fiasco were on tour together on this thing called the Flashing Lights tour. And that same night we had uh I think Ace was actually with us that night.
Hello?
Yeah, because I think it was the Fresh Rhymes and Videotape tour, which was Dilated, AC Alone, 88 Keys with Sin City and Alchemist. I think that was who the tour was, if I'm not mistaken. And
Alchemist.
so I think it was I think we were in Portland, and 88 Keys at the time. I don't know how if they're still tight, but at the time, him and Kanye were like super tight. That was like his best friend was Kanye. You know, like that was his, like they were really tight at that time. And so we were doing a club. I don't remember even we were doing that club. What's it called? Not Roselands. It was whatever was next door to like the donut shop and all that stuff, but Voodoo Donuts, I think. But we were doing a show, and it was a club show though. And then right before showtime, 88 Keys called us like, "Yo, Kanye is gonna come to the show. He's gonna crash the set. Is it cool if he does This Way with you guys?" And we hadn't done it at that point, probably in a couple of years. I don't think. I don't know. It had been a while at least. So yeah, it was like just a surprise to the crowd. Like we did This Way every night, but this particular night, Kanye jumped on with 88 and did This Way, and then I think we left the stage so that they could do like a record together or something, and that was it. So that was the last time I saw him though.
That's dope, man. Yeah. You guys are. This is historical West Coast legends, y'all. Thank you. I'm so appreciative you guys coming on, or you coming on and talking to me and talking to my audience.